movie, Claudine, the soundtrack by Gaddis Knight and the Pips, and we're just taking you back in time as we talk with now attorney Vonda Evans of Vonda's Law.
Okay, can I get your name?
Vonda's Law Firm. We're talking about the Texas case where Amber, I've been calling her Samantha all morning, Amber Guyger killed Botham Jean. She was sentenced to 10 years in prison. She was found guilty of murder, and I'm just still blown away by the jury that convicted her of first-degree murder hands a 10-year sentence. Attorney Vonda Evans, I watched some of the interviews of the jury members.
Yes.
And here's what I heard a white male juror say. He said, all through this trial, we learned about the victim and how forgiving he was. And we thought that Botham John would not want this woman sent to prison for 28 years. 28 years is what the family was asking for.
Okay. Well, the thing about it is you cannot invade the province of the jury. I mean, I've seen jurors convict people and look at things like, maybe the appearance of the family or whatever, but they'll convict them of something lesser. And I'll say, well, why, afterwards? And they'll say things that they considered in mitigation. So that's something that people can do. At the same time, you have to remember, it's very difficult psychologically for anyone to find a police officer and send them to prison because they've done so much good. There are situations, obviously this being one, where you broke the law. But then you weigh that against people who at the sentencing phase where they may say, she came in and she did this and that. In the Melendez case, there was a black woman who had come in and said, I raised him almost as a child. A couple days before that, there was a fire in a senior citizen complex, and he and some other people got all of these people out to safety. Had they waited for the fire department, they would have been killed. You have to look at all of that. You just can't look at the one act. You have to look at it all, and that's what they did. Because they're not trained, legally, their emotions crept in like it did with this particular judge. The judge was the captain. When she let that boy go over there and hug him, that was a wrap. She lost control. You can't lose control. How do I know? Because I've lost control before, okay? I've lost control.
Wait a minute. Bring him back in here.
Okay.
What did you say to me?
Okay. We ain't even going to talk about them F-bombs that was flying, okay? Because then at that point, I did lose. Because I'm saying, you going to disrespect me because then I got to be human. You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. In retrospect, would I have done it different? I don't know about all that. But all I know is when I heard him say those were me, you understand? And this was about a rape trial, then that was it. But you going to say that to me? And so I think that it just was the reverse with her. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I get it.
But now what?
Since then.
Okay, let's talk about this.
Ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who have not heard, let's talk about what happened to the witness in this case.
Joshua Brown.
Who was murdered.
Yes. Here's the situation. Based on the mother's account of Joshua Brown. Good kid. His testimony was critical to placing everybody where they were, etc. Gunned down by a silver Impala, I want to say, in a parking lot the other day. Killed. Murdered. No criminal record, nothing. He had not had current issues with anybody. The only thing that he had done of significance was to testify at this trial. Well, now he's dead. And they don't know who the person is that committed this crime. The issue then will be, will this crime be investigated to the degree that the other crime was? And will you put that manpower behind them? And that remains to be seen. But Milred, on the break, what did you say about Malice Green that tripped me out?
Oh, let me tell you about this. I remember this quite clearly. During the Malice Green trial, a man walked into the prosecutor's office and begged prosecuting attorney Kim Worthy at that time.
No, it wasn't. It was John D. O'Hare.
No, she was the attorney on the case.
Right.
assistant prosecuting attorney, Kim Worthy, she was handling the case. He begged her to take his story, to take his witness testimony, because he said he thought he'd be murdered. By the time the trial rolled around, guess what? He was murdered.
Wow.
So he could not testify.
Did they ever find out who killed him?
I don't know.
But I wonder were the resources put in place? Probably not. Another dead black man.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And the thing about it is that with these judges, we got to start holding people accountable. You understand what I'm saying? And the main thing is that we need as much attention on black on white or white on black crime as we do black on black crime. And it's not put there. And that's going to be interesting to see in this Joshua Brown case, the resources that they put into it.
Well, hopefully the community will just not let up on this.
Okay.
Not let up on this. I've OD'd on this legal murdering of black men, unarmed black men and women, and we all should be at that point at this place. And hopefully there is a more aggressive, active community there in Dallas. And if there isn't, remember when I'll never forget, Michael Baisden was doing radio back then.
Okay.
Well, he's back and he's doing it now. Michael Baisden led the fight. Remember the Gina 6?
Yes.
It was what Black National Syndicated Radio did. The seams of that little small town in Louisiana was bursting at the seams because black people from all across America showed up, and whites, to protest what was happening to the Gina 6.
And what it is that, everybody has a different style, okay? And my style, when I was a judge, was to educate at sentencing phase, okay? So every case I did, I wanted people who were watching either from TV, who were in the court, and the defendants, everybody involved, to understand what this case was about. She blew that. Because that was her opportunity to talk about accountability of police officers and the fact that you can't hide behind this blue shield and that you got to be accountable. She missed that. And for Americans, especially black people, this was her time. This was when she was supposed to make that 3-point. And she dropped the ball.
That was the
straight
moment.
up. Straight up dropped the ball. Because as black people, we the first to forgive. Oh, that's all right. I mean, I'm not for eye in all circumstances, but there got to be accountability. You can't turn the other cheek all the time, because if it was meant to be, that would be an escape route in law, and it's not.
And I'm going to say to you, and I say this all the time, I'm going to keep saying it because I know it's right. Part of the problem is we are not electing the caliber of judges to the bench that should be there. We don't have judges who are passionate about the law. We have judges who don't go to work and get promoted to higher courts. You understand what I'm saying?
I hear what you're saying.
I mean, enough is enough, and that's our problem. We don't have people who are passionate about the law. And they may be passionate about wanting to sit on the bench, but they're not passionate about the law.
And what it is it's an educating moment. It's an educating moment, and that's what judges, in part, after I agree with it, impose your sentence, educate people. Let them know that this is not acceptable. And Bob Bashir, you can't. This was an example of domestic abuse gone crazy, okay? Mixed with a little BDSM and everything.
Look, and crazy is an understatement.
Okay? But I had to let them know this was what this was about. You understand? And especially, with the Melendez, it was a defining moment in that I wanted to let people know, hey, you can't run and hide and say, I'm sorry. And she missed the ball. She missed the ball. The message that she sent was, we forgive, we don't hold accountable. And what that did, that was the play that set everything else up.
Let me tell you something. You just reminded me of something. That was one of those Thurgood Marshall moments.
Okay. But may I? When they asked Thurgood Marshall about the new justice, they asked him, they said, well, what do you think of, you got a black justice replacing you? He said, listen, ain't no difference between a black snake and a white snake. They both bite. Okay?
Yes, he did.
Huh? Thurgood Marshall will call you to it. You got people who are afraid. They're scared. I want to be elected. My belief was the day that my job means more to me than doing what's right, I got to go because I done left a long time ago anyway.
Bernard, you're on the Milred Gaddis Show with attorney Vonda Evans.
Hello. Good evening, ladies. Good afternoon, ladies.
It's morning, baby.
What kind of night
Where
did
you
you
at?
have?
Where you at? Where you at? They ain't turning them clocks back to next week, baby.
All right. Hey, appreciate the job both of you doing, Miss Evans. I've kind of followed your career throughout Detroit. I am from the city. The question I have, well, the statement I want to make, and I want to ask you a question is, it seems, maybe it's just me, but in this country, and I was told this a while back by my father, in this country, a black man's life means little to nothing. So what tends to happen is with black-on-black crime, there's not a lot of force behind it. They don't pursue it. Now, and then when we get killed, it's almost as like it's, well, it happened, and you two pointed out on this, well, some time has passed, so now we want to forgive.
But the thing about your father said is who's valuing black life? And when we put ourselves in situations that the people that we elect that make the laws don't value us because they know that we get excited, you know, one of the things that sickens me is sicken me. You see elected officials, they be in your community, they're going to be at your churches around election time. The day that the election over with, they go back to their ivory tower and they live their life. And the only time you see them is on social media because they don't give a damn in the beginning. And I don't care what color they are. What did I say about their representative? You got to be brown on the outside and brown on the inside, okay? You got to be accessible and accountable. A lot of elected officials don't. So we get hooked, you know, oh, he go judge such and such a state rep. Yeah, they here, my judge. I'm going to vote for them. And instead of looking at what they voted for, their agenda, we just glad that they're among us. They're supposed to be because they're the ones that pay the salary. See, Wayne County and the state of Michigan signed on my check, but the people that elected me were the people of Wayne County, wherever they were, okay? Mm-hmm. Black churches, white churches, mosques, whatever. That's the problem. We got to stop being so hoodwinked. Say, what is your track record? You know a person by their deeds. Okay? You know a person by their deeds. And we getting too cut. Oh, you know, Judge such was there quick enough to what? Pass out that literature, ask for your vote, get back on the bench, and then what you see them 6 years later. Shame on you.
Calvin, thanks for calling the show. You're on the air.
Good morning, Ms. Milred and Attorney Evans. How are you?
I'm doing well, sir.
Good. Real quick, I just want to say I sat in your courtroom several times. And I also want to add that I may not have always agreed how you operated your courtroom, but I can honestly say, Attorney Evans, you were very fair.
Thank you so very much. And that means a lot coming from somebody from the community. I didn't know he was there. Okay? I didn't know you was there. See, it's a million of everybody else and it's one of me. But if you do what you do right and consistently, you ain't got to worry about what people say. What'd you say? A lot of times you didn't agree with me, but you believed that I was fair. And there was a mandate on my career to be fair to everybody, okay? And I had to follow that. I had to be true to the God I served by saying what was right and calling black, black, white, white, green, green. I had to do it. There was a mandate. People, like you say, they be so excited to get elected that they won't speak about an issue because it may mean that they may not be able to keep their job. You have to understand, too. In any state, but especially Texas, the police union is very, very, very strong.
I thought about that the day that
very strong.
I thought about that on Friday.
Very strong.
And I said,
you want their support if you're running for judge.
That's right.
And you have to understand that if you take a black dot and put it in a white and clear water, that's what we are in Texas. So what she wanted to do is say, I'm fair to everybody because I want to get reelected.
I lived in Texas for 10 years, and at that time, Texas was called a hang 'em high state. You didn't get charged with murder and not convicted of murder and not given life in the state of Texas. I mean, it happens. It still happens all the time.
Wow.
And so I was wondering on Friday, that very same thing about the police officers union, and I didn't get a chance to see about her election and where the votes fell and all of that, and in terms of whether or not she had strong competition or whether or not she led the pack, and with the great divide between her and the other, because that matters. It is so unfortunate that we're finding that there was a time when the court was above politics.
Okay, well, it ain't no more.
It's not anymore.
Okay.
And that's the tragedy.
But look at all the Trump appointees. These are men, the majority of them are men who have extremely conservative views, stand on it, don't care about it, and still get appointed and still get elected. And now what? That's just how it is. And the unfortunate part is we can't change the national election, but you can change it in your community. In the city of Detroit, you make sure that everybody in 36th district or the majority has the values that you do, and that they're going to stand up for what's right. That's all we can do.
And we do have an election next year, people, and it's time to get busy. So start preparing before next. Let me just say this. It has nothing to do with this case, but I want to throw this in.
And
here.
I ain't trying to knock them 30. I'm just saying locally. That's what I meant.
Yeah.
I go into court. They'll say guilty on everything I do. I love y'all. Y'all doing a good job, 36 district judges.
Well, some folks, some of those judges aren't, because they're trying to slay the chief judge who's trying to get everybody to do the right thing.
Okay.
Yes, they are. But the other day, and I want people to think about this because this individual's seat is going to be up. It has nothing to do with what we're discussing, but I got to throw it in because I want to have a chance. So you need to know who you're electing. Gabe Leland the other day got mad and refused to support a street being named after Dunbarton because now this is a city council person, because he says that Dunbarton supported a woman who challenged his daddy in his daddy's election.
And here's somebody that's been under investigation, ain't been charged, and got reelected.
And he'll be in federal court in January.
But got reelected. What does that say? What does that say? Listen. What does that
loyalty.
say?
Blind loyalty.
And there is a different standard, okay? There's a different. Let me say this to you, and this is for real with black politicians. You can do 20 years of good, and the one wrong thing you do, you're going to be remembered by. Okay? How I know? Because I do know that. That's happened to me. Baby, I looked up on, I said, Lord, all them days I done missed my daughter's school and everything. She late, she did. But then we'll take the reverse where somebody's charged, indicted, and get reelected by a black community.
And gets to serve out his term. Stay with us. Stay with us. There's more to come here on the Milred Gaddis Show. Attorney Vonda Evans, my guest, and our focus, of course, is the sentence that went down in Texas with Amber Guyger.
I always say I have a theme for every case I do. The sentence that went south.
It did.
All right.
It went way south.
Baby.
The family was asking for 28 years. The prosecution was asking for 28 years.
Well, what you think that they did with the brother when they got home? Girl, look, I'd have been charged. I'd have jumped up, knocked the hell out of my daughter, talk about what you doing, girl.
Listen, the mother said, and after that,
girl, I'd have jumped up in court and jumped on Naomi if that happened to my daughter. Okay, like what in the hell are you doing? And I don't think I would have used those words just to hell. Okay,
and to save that, the judge should have done what competent judges do, and checked in and said, "No, young man, that's inappropriate. You can't do that."
When she gets reelected, let's take a look at the composition of those votes.
All right.